What's up, party people? Yeah. Alright guys, I'm going to talk about what I have been going through recently and how that relates to the last episode that we filmed with Joven, and what's been helping me and where I'm at the moment, things like that. So, let's begin. If you're anything like me, you probably would hear a lot of things, like you're just living life. You're just living life, man. You're just doing the day-to-day, going to school, going to uni, working day in, day out, whatever, you're doing whatever you're doing. You're doing just life, man. You're just doing that. And you're sitting there one time. You're just sitting there. Or like, I don't know, you're just in the office and you're just chilling and you're thinking to yourself, man, you get all these voices, right? Like, dude, you should be doing a lot more with your life. What are you doing with your life, man? That's boring. Like, what are you doing, bro? There is more to life than this. Surely you're meant for more. And life shouldn't just be this. I'm sure there is a plethora of thoughts that go through your mind, if you're anything like myself. And with that, I found myself in a place of which, man, Perth is boring. Perth is so small. Man, I need to go and experience life and do a little bit of living, Where I was at was that I felt this restlessness. I felt that this place that I'm living in was a limiter. That the things that I could do potentially could not be done in where I am at the moment. And the thing is, because of that, I have brought myself to think, you know what, I need to move. I need to get out of here and live somewhere else. That's what I thought initially. So you can think about this in this way. You can think about, man, I feel called to go somewhere else. Or maybe my time now, because I'm involved in youth ministry, right? And I'm involved with certain things where I live at the moment. And it's like I could easily manipulate the voice of God and say, I've been serving in youth ministry since 2014 to now, which is 2020. And you could easily say, yeah, you can't, you're not going to serve in youth ministry for the rest of your life. I'm not going to be 60 years old and still be serving in youth ministry. It's not like that, you know what I mean? Imagine that. Anyways, thing is, I thought to myself, it's time to go. There's no better time to go. I mean, I'm single. I've been serving for so long. Surely this is my opportunity now to move to a different state, to experience life differently. And that's what I thought. I thought that, it was a gift from God, but really, little did I know was that I was manipulating the voice of God to however you want. Because us as Christians, or people in general, we like to, twist things to our convenience in a way that makes us go, oh, yeah, this is me going this way, like. The thing about seasons, right, is that there never really is an end to the season. It's always a season, and then you, in a way, get taken into another season. You get taken, like what Joven was talking about in the previous episode, is like God doesn't just put you somewhere and then take you out of that into nothing. He takes you out and puts you somewhere where you're called to be. And I call it whatever you want. I feel called there, whatever. But the thing about calling is that we're all called to many, many things. We're called to be a good son, a good daughter, a good boyfriend, a good girlfriend, husband, wife, father, whatever, We're called to many things, to be a part of a church. These are some of the simple things that we are all called for on our lives, basically. But so the thing is, I went through a journey of trying to discover what God's will is for my life. Where does God want to take me next in my life? I'm 26 years old and I'm ready for the world, kind of thing, And it's like, God, where do you want me to go? Like, surely, in my thought, I thought this. I thought that if I was to live the rest of my life in Perth, I would regret it. And the thing is, I still kind of feel that way. But at the same time, I feel that, the thing is, that was the thought that I was battling with. And I guess it's easy to push away, the voice of God and think, I gotta go. This is my desire. I gotta go. I mean, the thing is, like, when I was doing analysis on this whole thing, I was thinking, like, man, like, what's my reason for wanting to move? And, like, yes, I could be running away from things. Like, perhaps I'm running away from a place that I still need to be stuck in for a little while to grow, to dig my roots deep, that kind of thing. Before I could even think of uprooting, I need to plant myself and stay in. I mean, I've been going to this church that I'm currently in for about almost shy of 2 years. Actually, yes. Wait, no, 3 years? I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. I feel like it feels like forever, but really it isn't. It hasn't been forever. Another thing I will add is that I guess with how things are nowadays, we're always looking for that quick fix, that quick answer. We want big things. We want to hear God's voice in a big way. But sometimes, man, I guess sometimes God does speak in a big way, but that's when He wants to, But most of the time, it's through little things. And I think we just have to be discerning and open to those things, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just always expect God to put a double rainbow. It's like, I'm going to go if there's a double rainbow, When you think about it, it's kind of silly. But I mean, in the past, I've heard stories that has happened, and God speaks in that way because maybe for that person, there's no other way to convince this person of doing a certain thing unless he sees a double rainbow, right? But sometimes God speaks to us through different things, like I talked about. Like, He speaks through my friends. He speaks through all these sorts of things. So, guys, like, don't expect a big answer all the time. I think, yeah, I guess, again, like, hearing God's voice is all about being close to someone. Like, you hear their voice more when you're closer to them. You understand what they're trying to say to you when you know them better, right? And there's no shortcuts to this. It's like, oh, like, if I'm eating Skittles and if the next Skittle I eat is not red, or if it is red, then I'm gonna go, or I'm gonna break up with this person, or do this. Don't do that. That's dumb. Like, it's not like that. So be reasonable. Like, I think, yeah, just don't expect it always to be a big thing. It may be a big decision in your life, but sometimes it's in the whispering and in the quiet that God speaks. And like, most of the time, that's what it is. It's not always like, yeah, you should go. Sometimes like, yeah, you should go. But we can't hear it because we're too busy looking for that big thing. We're getting distracted by, like, oh, I heard, like, you actually actively go and search for it, Like, I think it's the most part is like, yeah, like, there's a bit of that, but I think for the most part, you just gotta be patient. You gotta wait, and you gotta get close. That's just how it works. So, yeah, just another thing I wanted to add. So that was kind of like a bit of the thing that I was going through was putting that aside, my own selfish desires, right? What we call in Christianese, and own selfish desires. And I was trying. I'm a person that, like, takes heed. I like to go around and ask people for their opinion and what their thoughts are. And I guess, a lot of them said certain things and they all really aligned, with each other. And you could easily say, yes, that's the voice of God talking to you. Yeah. Whoa, but hold up. Wait a minute. I had to recline, take myself away from this situation and spend some time with God, because at the end of the day, right, it's not up to me. It's not up to my friends. It's up to where God wants me to be. Because the thing is, yeah, you're like, oh, but, why don't you just put your foot in the door and try and give it a shot? Yeah, I'm all about that. I want to be spontaneous. I want to do these things, right? But if there's no peace, then something ain't right, Like, I can go there and sure, give it a shot and fail and be like, oh, at least I tried, and come back and, like, life's, well, good. But you never know, in that time I could be missing a very special opportunity, that's maybe there's something still here for me to do in that time frame that I miss. I do a Jonah, and then I get swallowed by the whale, and then I come back and I'm like, okay, well, I'm still gonna do the same thing, but I lose time. You know what I mean? And, like, do I want to do that? Not really. I want to be obedient. So what do I do? Well, anyways, by the way, some of this stuff that I'm taking, or the things that I'm saying right now, has been taken from a book that I've read recently called, here it is, Hearing the Voice of God, or Hearing God by Nathan Finocchio. Really good book. Totally recommend it. It's really good. If you're having a hard time trying to talk to Daddy God, Daddy Jesus, Big Daddy up there, Daddy G, then this book is for you, man, because it came so timely. Like, I was reading it and I was like, man, this is how you hear God. Because I don't know about some of you guys, but when you talk to God, you don't hear anything, right? It's like just talking to a wall. Like, he doesn't really talk much. He's a bit introverted. It's like, nah, I thought that God would have more to say, but sometimes you don't really hear it. We're always expecting that audible voice, but we don't. We blindside ourselves to the people around us, the situations, the opportunities that come up. This is a way that God speaks to us, and God can speak through movies. Even He can speak through like anything, really. He's creative, and like He can. I'm looking at the floor right now. The floor could speak to me. I don't know. I'm just saying that God can do anything, right? I know it sounds ridiculous, but it is what it is. Reading this book has taught me about two things. Well, a few things. I won't say two things. I think there's a few things. I'm going to say a few things because I don't know how many I'm going to get into right now. But one was general calling and specific calling in your life. And the thing about specific calling, right, is like, how would you know your specific calling if you haven't gone through your general calling yet? It's like working out, right? You need to know the foundations, the general exercises first before you can even think about specializing in a certain, like, for a sport or something like that. You need to know the basics, like what a squat is, what a deadlift is, or what a bicep curl is. You need to know the general foundational things, just like a general calling. And what I said earlier, that we are called for many things in our lives, right? So a general calling is those things. It's being a good son, a good daughter, to go to church, to do these things, right? To serve in the ministry. Like, if you have a talent and you're good at it, that's a calling. God has called you for something. You're good at social media, you're good at with the youth, you're good at preaching, you're good at with little kids. Like, that's a general calling. Like, yeah, you could say that's a specific calling. Yeah, not everyone's built for those things, but if you stay obedient to these general callings, like, doing your devotions as well, doing these, getting close to God, like, as you, over time, you start to see, as you get close to God, right, through your general callings and being obedient, your specific calling will be revealed to you. So, for example, for myself, like, honestly, this past year, it's been hard for me. Like, I've been, like, the job that I work is like, I'm a chaplain in a school, and it's kids there, and then I go to youth and there's kids there, and it's like kids everywhere, right? And how do I stay motivated? Well, I was pretty drained. I ain't gonna lie. I had to drag myself to work. I got to drag myself to youth group. And I guess, like, what I didn't realize at the time was that I was drawing strength from myself and not from God, So, but here I am doing my devotions every day. I'm not a perfect Christian, by the way. I'm not painting the picture I'm a perfect person. I'm trying my best. There was a day I missed the day, so I had to double read on that because, I gotta punish myself. No. I don't punish myself, but, it's like, I do miss these days still, but I still try to make it up because I see the importance of it now. Because as I did my devotions, as I continued being faithful and just growing and doing what I feel that God has put me in, because He hasn't told me to leave. This is my own selfish desire to leave, and like, I just stayed obedient, kept going at it, kept working hard, I guess, do what I can, support the other leaders and stuff like that. And as I've been doing that, it's different, man. Like, there's a joy. Like, I wake up to go to work and I'm excited, and I'm like, what? Why am I excited? I go to youth, I can't wait to go. And my conversations have changed as well. It's weird. I'm not a hyper spiritual guy, I'm not that kind of guy that's like, yeah, like, all the time. I'm pretty, like, conservative, actually, but I do believe in these things, right? But, like, I was talking to Nick about it just in the car not long ago before filming this, right? And it's just, you can't explain it, man. And when you can't explain something, it has to be God, right? Because He's indescribable. With the things He does, you can't put your finger on it. You just feel a certain way, you feel better, and you're looking at life in a different angle. Now, I'm totally going through a different, I'm kind of like deviating a little bit from my point, but basically what I'm saying is these things from hearing God. If you want to hear God's voice in your season right now, like, I don't know what you're going through, but everyone's going through something. Everyone's going through a season. Everyone's going through the ups and downs and whatnot. God's leading you somewhere all the time, right? But when you want to hear God's voice, you gotta really tune in, man. You gotta really, like, as simple as it is, that's what it is. You just spend more time with God. You do your devotions. Like, what's helping me is, like, like, I try to read through the Bible many times, and, like, I never stuck with it because, going through the Old Testament's difficult, right? It's hard. So I got this 1 year, it's called the 1 year Bible, and it basically is like every day there's a chapter from the Old Testament and the New Testament, there's a Psalm and there's a proverb, all in for one day. And I read that and I feel good, I feel refreshed, because I'm not just in the Old Testament, I'm kind of moving along. Anyways, that's like free advertisement there, but thing is, like, yeah, I really enjoy that. It's really good for me. It might not work for you. You just gotta find what works for you. Like, whether you want to find a podcast or like a YouTube channel that reads out like if you're an audible listener, you know, like if you like learn by listening and watching things, you go on YouTube and like get someone to read the Bible to you. I'm sure there's YouTube channels for that, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. Some important takeaways from what I'm talking about right now. 3 things. Be aware of your season. Like, be aware of what you're thinking, because you might manipulate God's calling on your life, you know, and say like, oh, you know, I've done my time to go. You know, that God never said that. You're just saying that yourself. You're saying, because I mean, the thing is, who's going to deny you of that, right? You can't judge someone like, God told me this. Oh yeah, like, I know you're lying about that. It's like, how do you know? How do you know? Like, you don't, right? So integrity, anyways. But yeah, sometimes I think that was something that I learned from that book, and I was like, wow, like, yeah, I definitely might have to check myself, because maybe I was manipulating the word, God's will in my life, by saying, I've done the time, I gotta go. And general calling, specific calling, the only way to find your specific calling is to go and be obedient and have faith in your general callings, you know, like, you know, God's called us for these things. That's what they call callings in our life. We gotta stick with it unless God says otherwise. And I feel like when God speaks, you will know. Just like how they say that when you find the love of your life, you just know. When you want to marry this person, you just know. And I think when it comes to this, yeah, I think you just find a peace. Like, there's a peace and contentment that I've been looking for, basically. And I feel that now, speaking to the camera and speaking about this openly now, I feel that I do feel more peace about where I'm at and where I want to go, and I guess being content with where I am, staying where I am, and being okay with that. Like, to leave, to stay, I feel pretty good. Like, I'm not restless about it. I feel pretty good. Like, I feel pretty decent. So yeah, you know, that's pretty cool. So again, guys, thank you for listening to me talk and being so interested in what I have to say. I think I appreciate that. That's it. Thank you again for listening. As always, guys, you know, much love and stay fresh.